It always begins with silence, thick, sticky silence that wraps around your chest like a cold rope. You're lying in bed, wide awake at 3:17 a.m., and something's watching you from the corner of the room. You can't move. Can't scream. And for reasons you don't understand, your mind can only remember one word. Hail. You don't know why it floats into your skull like smoke. But in that moment, you realize something that will never leave you. Darkness visits those who live prayerless lives. And the shadows always check to see which door is open, and which one's been locked. Across the world, spiritual attacks often come not with thunder, but with whispers. A feeling. A suffocating presence. A footstep in the hallway when everyone's asleep. Sometimes it's a dream that feels too real. Sometimes it's not a dream at all. There are people who've woken up with scratches they didn't make. Women who saw faceless figures crouched by their bed. Men who couldn't speak or breathe until they remembered a name they hadn't said since childhood. Mary. What is it about that name that sends something crawling back into the dark? Why does hell fear it more than fire? In the ancient war between light and shadow, there are prayers that stir the heavens. But there is one, just one, that the enemy of God fears like a blade to the throat. A prayer clothed in humility, whispered by the mouths of children and the broken. A prayer so simple, most forget its power. But demons do not forget. They tremble when they hear it. They flee when it rises. And they curse the name behind it, Mary. The Hail Mary is not just a prayer. It is a hammer in the spirit realm. And its shockwave is eternal. Before we get there, you need to know something. Evil doesn't always come dressed in red. Sometimes it wears the memory of your worst day. Sometimes it hides in generational trauma passed down like furniture. Sometimes it walks beside you unnoticed, planting thoughts, infecting dreams. The devil isn't always loud. Sometimes he's patient. And he waits for one thing only, permission. Silence is permission. A life without prayer is a room without locks. But there are weapons, ancient, hidden, and overlooked. This story isn't about fear. It's about how one soft prayer, one name, burns like lightning in the halls of hell. Why do shadows flee from a prayer made of 14 simple lines? Why would a being as ancient as Lucifer himself, once heaven's most radiant angel, tremble at a prayer spoken by a peasant girl in 500 AD? The answer is buried in mystery, history, and horror. Because the Hail Mary is not a spell. It is a declaration. Every word pulls ancient cords tied to eternity. And the name, Mary, spoken with reverence, cuts through the devil's lies like fire through silk. This isn't superstition. It's survival. And the devil knows, when a person prays the Hail Mary with faith, he has no defense. Exorcists won't always tell you this. But in the most violent possessions, when holy water fails, when Latin commands stall, one quiet phrase often breaks the hold. Not a scream. Not a Bible verse. Just, Hail Mary, full of grace. Demons writhe. Some weep. Others curse and beg. But they all react. Because the one who bore Christ now stands as the enemy of the enemy. She's the woman from Genesis 3 verse 15. I will put enmity between you and the woman. That prophecy was not poetic. It was spiritual law. And every time the Hail Mary is spoken, that prophecy is enforced again. But why is it so feared? Because the Hail Mary begins with a truth the devil cannot deny. God chose a woman to carry his son. A woman, untouched by pride. Humble. Obedient. The complete opposite of Satan's rebellion. Every line of the Hail Mary stings his ego. Every repetition reopens a wound that never healed. Hell hates what heaven crowns. And Mary, gentle, quiet Mary, was crowned Queen of Heaven. That crown wasn't just symbolic. It was strategic. And Satan, once the Prince of Light, now burns beneath the weight of her name. Especially when that name rolls off your tongue. You might think, but I'm not religious. Or, that's Catholic stuff. That's exactly what the devil wants you to think. He wants the Hail Mary locked in tradition, sealed away behind ritual. He fears you discovering it's not a charm, it's a sword. Not just for nuns or priests, but for anyone who's ever cried alone at night, felt the cold weight of shame, or woke up haunted. Mary doesn't belong to one denomination. She belongs to the battle. And if you've never needed her before, wait until the silence comes. Wait until the dark knocks twice, and leaves the door open. There's a reason the prayer starts with an angel's words. Gabriel didn't just greet her. He declared her full of grace, a title no demon can stand. Grace is power they cannot corrupt. And when you say it, you align your soul with a mystery older than time. The Hail Mary bridges heaven and earth. It pulls down light when the room is dark. It reminds the spirit world that you are not alone. That Mary stands watching, listening, ready. That when you say her name, hell hears footsteps approaching, and flees. Because she doesn't come alone. She comes with thunder. Across centuries, the faithful have clung to this prayer like a lifeline. During the plague. During war. During birth and death. But most don't know what it does in the spirit realm. Every Hail Mary is a blow to the enemy's foundation. Repetition is not weakness, it is war. It is what wears down walls. Each line is like a drumbeat against the skull of the serpent. Not empty words, but weapons dressed as whispers. And the devil knows, the moment you begin to believe what you pray, the battle shifts. Because now, you're not just speaking. You're commanding. Skeptics call this superstition. But history doesn't lie. In the 13th century, Saint Dominic received the rosary in a vision from Mary herself. He used it to crush a heresy that was leading souls astray. In modern-day Africa, countless testimonies tell of witches silenced mid-curse by the rosary. In Italy, priests record demons crying out, "Stop her name! It burns us!" These aren't metaphors. They're spiritual fingerprints, evidence that the Hail Mary is not safe, not cute, not soft. It's dangerous. To hell, it's nuclear. And the more you pray it, the more you arm yourself with atomic light. What you pray reveals what you believe. And the devil fears the Hail Mary because it reveals something he doesn't want you to see, your authority. Not just as a believer, but as a child of the woman who crushed his head. That's what this is really about. The serpent still crawls, still whispers, still waits. But when he hears the name, Mary, he hears his defeat echoing through time. Every Hail Mary is a reminder that no matter how loud the darkness, there is a woman in heaven who still carries light. And she is never silent. So if you've ever woken up at 3 a.m., if you've ever felt something was off in the room, if you've ever seen something move and told yourself it was nothing, remember, the shadows always wait for silence. But heaven waits for sound. And that sound, that whisper, that flame? It starts with 2 words. Hail Mary. It doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be real. And once you say it, everything changes. Because the devil may prowl like a lion. But even lions run when they hear the voice of the Queen. Before the attacks, he studies you. He looks for spiritual patterns. Weak spots in your faith. Wounds never healed. But there's one pattern he cannot decode, one mystery he cannot copy. It is the name of a woman spoken in heaven with reverence, and in hell with terror. Mary. You've heard it before. But you've never seen what it does when said with power. Her name is not just a name. It's a storm. Every time you say it, the kingdom of darkness loses breath. And when it's paired with a prayer, it becomes an explosion of invisible war. Hail Mary, full of grace. These are not poetic words. They're the exact words spoken by an archangel, Gabriel, sent directly from God's throne. The devil hates this line more than most. Why? Because it confirms that Mary was not chosen by man, but filled by God. Grace is heaven's DNA. And to say she is full of grace is to admit she is untouchable by the enemy. Every time this line is spoken, it forces hell to remember the one being it could never seduce, never possess, never bend. Mary was filled with what Satan lost. And that shatters him. The Lord is with thee. These 6 words are a death blow. Because Satan's entire rebellion was fueled by wanting to be separate from God. He couldn't stand submission. Couldn't stand proximity. And here is Mary, fully human, and the Lord is with her. It proves that closeness to God isn't about power. It's about surrender. And hell cannot stand a heart that surrenders. When this line is spoken, demons often scream, twist, or flee, because they hear in it the proof that God dwells with the lowly. Mary was not a queen of pride. She was a servant. And that makes her royal. Blessed art thou among women. Satan once ruled over legions of angels. But Mary? She was a village girl. Unknown. Poor. And yet, blessed above all women. This drives the enemy mad. Because her blessing wasn't based on status. It was based on obedience. This line isn't just honor, it's insult. It declares Mary higher than Eve, higher than queens, higher than anything the devil could corrupt. And every time you say it, you're agreeing with heaven's hierarchy, one that places humility above pride. Hell runs on ego. But the Hail Mary runs on reversal. And Mary is its silent revolution. And blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. This is the dagger. It declares 2 things the devil cannot stand. That Mary gave birth to the Word made flesh, and that his name is above every other name. Jesus. Yeshua. The one who shattered the gates of hell. Every time this line is prayed, the enemy hears the sound of his own defeat. Because Mary didn't just carry a child. She carried the answer to sin. She carried the one who would walk into the grave and rise again. And the devil? He still hears footsteps when you say his name. This is why exorcists testify, during violent deliverances, the most reactive line is always this one. Blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Demons don't just flinch. They thrash. Because the line doesn't only praise Mary, it proclaims the victory of her Son. In that name is power. In that name is justice. In that name is the crushing heel that broke the serpent's jaw. And Satan knows, every Hail Mary is a bullet with Christ's name engraved on the tip. The deeper you pray it, the more accurate the shot. And hell knows when it's been hit. Holy Mary, Mother of God! This line is more than sacred, it's strategic. It confronts the heresies that demons have whispered into the ears of man for centuries. Mary is not divine. But she is holy. She is not a goddess. But she is the Mother of God. That title, Mother of God, sends shockwaves through the demonic realm. Because it forces them to admit what they hate, that God lowered himself to dwell inside a human womb. That the Creator became a child. That Mary said yes while Lucifer said no. Her yes changed history. His no condemned him forever. Pray for us sinners. This line reminds demons of something they despise, intercession. They want you to think you're alone. Isolated. Powerless. But the Hail Mary tears that illusion apart. When you ask Mary to pray for you, you activate the spiritual authority of a mother who once held the Son of God in her arms. She's not a statue. She's a storm. Her prayers are not background noise. They are fire. And the devil cannot block them. This line humbles the soul and enrages the enemy. Because it means you are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. And you are not unarmed. Now and at the hour of our death. This is the final strike. It covers the 2 moments hell loves to attack, the present, and your last breath. Demons don't wait until you're strong. They strike when you're weakest, right now. And they hover at death, hoping to snatch souls in fear. But this line seals both moments in divine protection. It's a time bomb against darkness. When you say it, you're inviting heaven's light into the exact places Satan waits. You're declaring that Mary's intercession surrounds you now, and even when you die. And that leaves hell without access. Without leverage. Without victory. That's the full prayer. 14 lines. Whispered billions of times. Yet still feared. Still powerful. Still mysterious. Why? Because every line was forged in light. Each word, a thread of divine design. The prayer was never meant to be rushed. It was meant to be entered. And when you enter it slowly, intentionally, something happens. The words begin to take shape. You feel the grip of fear loosen. The tension in the room shift. And something unseen gets angry, because you've remembered who you are, and who she is. The enemy's worst nightmare is not just your faith. It's your awakening. An awakening doesn't happen by accident. It starts with memory. Do you remember who first taught you the prayer? A grandmother? A nun? A funeral? Or maybe you never learned it at all. That's okay. Because the moment you say it, even just once, you invite history into your voice. You borrow the faith of centuries. You speak with the authority of saints. And demons recognize that voice. They hear it like thunder cracking through silence. They panic. They hide. Because they know, every Hail Mary is not just a prayer. It's a summons. And she always shows up. In a small village in Poland, during an exorcism in 1978, the demon cried out, "She walks in fire! She holds light in her hands! Stop saying her name!" The priest kept praying the rosary. Over and over. Until the demon screamed no more. It wasn't the priest's power. It wasn't magic. It was Mary's presence. That's what they fear. Her presence. Because she brings order where they sow chaos. She brings calm where they plant torment. And she brings Jesus, always. That's why her name, spoken in truth, becomes a torch. One that burns through lies, until only truth remains. There is no dark stronghold that can stand when Mary enters. Her footsteps echo with eternity. She carries no sword, but her silence slices deeper than steel. She doesn't shout, but her voice moves kingdoms. When you say her name, you are invoking the mother who stood at the foot of the cross while angels wept. The same mother who was present when the Spirit descended like fire at Pentecost. The same mother who still intercedes for the broken, the forgotten, the tormented. And when the devil hears her name from your lips, he remembers a war that he already lost. So when you say, "Hail Mary," say it slow. Say it clear. Say it with fire in your soul. Because you are not just repeating words. You are standing in a river of saints, martyrs, and warriors who once whispered those same lines while facing death, and found peace. The prayer was never meant to be boring. It was born in battle. And every repetition makes you more dangerous to the enemy. This isn't about superstition. It's about strategy. And the strategy is simple. Call on the one whom hell cannot stand. The name that scatters darkness. The name that brings light. Mary's name is peace to the faithful, but a siren to the damned. The moment you say it, you force the kingdom of darkness to shift. To react. To remember. And that is the secret few speak aloud. The devil fears Mary not because of who she is alone, but because of what her presence means. It means Jesus is near. It means obedience still reigns. It means love still wins. So say the prayer. Slowly. Reverently. And watch what happens in the silence. Because sometimes the greatest proof of victory is what the enemy cannot bear to hear. It's easy to think demons lie all the time. But what most people don't know is this: during real exorcisms, when faced with the presence of God, they are forced to tell the truth. Not because they want to, but because they can't help it. In the presence of consecrated authority, lies unravel. Masks fall. And what escapes their lips becomes spiritual evidence, confessions from hell itself. Over the years, countless exorcists have reported it. Whenever the Hail Mary is prayed, the possessed don't just scream, they reveal secrets. Secrets the devil never wanted exposed. Secrets that could change how you pray forever. One such confession came in 1975 in Würzburg, Germany. A young woman named Anneliese Michel underwent a grueling exorcism that lasted months. She was diagnosed with possession by multiple spirits, some historical, some unnameable. But during one session, a voice rose above the others and shrieked, "Stop saying her name! She crushes me! Her foot is on my neck!" The priest kept praying. And the entity admitted something chilling. She was chosen. I was not. She obeyed. I refused. Her yes damned me. That moment broke the room. Because in that instant, hell remembered heaven, and what it had lost forever. This wasn't an isolated case. In Italy, Father Gabriele Amorth, Rome's chief exorcist for over 30 years, recorded multiple instances where demons were forced to admit Mary's power. One screamed, "She is the terror of demons! We can't stand her purity! She is unbearable to look at!" Another, during a violent session, admitted, "She intercedes too much. She saves too many. We lose souls because of her." These aren't metaphors. These are battlefield confessions, real, raw, and involuntary. The enemy may disguise himself in lies. But when cornered by the rosary, he reveals what heaven already knew: Mary is a threat to darkness. Why does her purity burn them? Because demons are creatures of pride, perversion, and rebellion. Mary is the opposite. She is humility wrapped in grace. Silence filled with strength. Her soul is a mirror that reflects God perfectly, and demons can't look at that mirror without convulsing. During a 1994 exorcism, a demon howled. She humiliates us. Her silence destroys our pride. That word, humiliation, comes up again and again in their confessions. Because the Hail Mary doesn't just ask for help. It humiliates the enemy. Every repetition is like dragging the devil's face through the mud of his own defeat. In another case in Brazil, a possessed man was writhing on the floor while the priest whispered the Hail Mary. As the line, "Holy Mary, Mother of God," was spoken, the demon bellowed, "She's not just a mother, she's a wall. We can't pass her. She blocks the gate." That line stunned the witnesses. A wall. A gatekeeper. This aligns with the ancient image of Mary as the gate of heaven. When she stands between the devil and a soul, the enemy has no choice but to retreat. Not because she is divine, but because her purity gives her authority. But there's something even darker, something the devil once whispered during a failed possession attempt. When the exorcist invoked Mary, the spirit inside a child muttered, "She reminds me of the throne I'll never sit on." That confession shook the team. Because it exposed the deepest wound in Satan's heart: envy. He wanted glory. He wanted worship. He wanted to sit where Mary now stands, exalted, beloved crown. But instead he fell. And now, every time a person whispers, "Hail Mary," it's like a hammer driving the nail of that fall deeper into his spirit. Envy is eternal. And it's eating him alive. Some theologians believe this envy started long before the fall of man. In ancient church mysticism, there's a theory: God revealed to the angels that a woman would one day bear the word. Lucifer, the brightest of them all, refused to serve. He couldn't accept that a human, lower than angels, would one day carry divinity. And that rejection began the rebellion.